Tiramisu might not be the first dessert you think of when you think of autumn. Perhaps to you it's more of a summery flavor, something kind of lighter, something a little bit more refreshing. But what if I told you we could upset the Italians and have a delicious dessert at the same time? Because I don't think there's any offer more exciting for me. Today we are talking cozy yet creamy. We are talking rich but refreshing. We are talking autumnal, cozy, spicy, but still kind of cool and light at the same time. We're talking about a spiced brown sugar tiramisu. This is taking inspiration from the classic Northern Italian recipe for tiramisu, which I adore in every shape and form, whether it's enormous, whether it's individual, whether it's made in 5 minutes, or whether it's been in the fridge for 3 days. I love them all. And today we're toying with it a bit, because I can't help myself really. Look at the channel name, it's not precision baking, you know. We're taking that classic tiramisu flavor, those soaked savoiardi biscuits with a very, very, very lovely strong espresso coffee soak, creamy mascarpone, light fluffy whipped egg whites, but this time instead of just a little bit of caster sugar, we're adding soft brown sugar and we're adding spices like cinnamon, like ginger, like cloves, like coriander, like nutmeg, and we're making this lovely cold dessert something that can be cozy too. It requires a couple of bowls, a couple of different mixing stages, and then some assembly, but you can make it ahead of time for a dinner party, to take to a little gathering, or just to share with the family, or just to eat all to yourself. It's easily doubled or halved depending on the amount of people you need to feed, and it's worth every minute. Let's make this spiced brown sugar tiramisu. Naturally, our autumnal tiramisu begins with coffee. I basically just fill up a mug with espresso and then just pour it out into a flatter bowl to cool down, but you can use as strong or as weak as a coffee as you like. Then we're going to mix together some spices, some cinnamon, some ginger, some cloves, some nutmeg, coriander, and just set them aside ready for later on. You're then going to want to grab 2 bowls, ideally slightly bigger than this black one, and you're going to have your eggs being separated, whites into one as carefully as you can, and then you're going to toss the yolks into the bowl of mascarpone cheese. Nothing else really does the same job. Cream cheese, ricotta, etc., will not hit the same way. I would only recommend mascarpone here. Whipped cream will not do the same thing. Get yourself the good stuff. We're going to set aside those egg whites and focus on our bowl of creamy stuff instead. We're going to want to sweeten it, and for that, as the title would suggest, we're going to use brown sugar. The soft kind, nothing too kind of granular or the kind of stuff you'd put in your coffee. And to that, you're going to want to add our little spice blend. You can then use a fork or a wee whisk to kind of combine these together before adding them to the mascarpone and egg yolks, ready to fork or whisk them together into a homogeneous, smooth and creamy mix. As I said, ideally in a bigger bowl. My other one was not clean and I was too lazy to do so, but we got there in the end. It should be nice and smooth and lump free and a nice kind of soft beige colour. You're then going to set it aside, and you're going to, either with a manual whisk or ideally with an electric one, whip up those egg whites until they are holding nice soft peaks. Then add both mixtures together and whisk them together to make them a lovely, smooth, kind of cafe latte coloured cream, even though there's no coffee here, just spices and sugar and spice and all things nice. Set it aside for just a second while you make sure you have the other components ready for construction purposes, being savoiardi biscuits, boudoir biscuits, ladyfingers, sponge fingers, whatever you want to call them, and your cooled coffee, before getting stuck into soaking and layering up. Depending on what kind of container you're putting this in, you can put it in one big one, you can put it in individual kind of bowls or glasses like I did. Feel free to break up those biscuits however you need to soak them and fit them in properly. Get a nice kind of flat, even layer, and then add a good generous dollop of the spiced mascarpone brown sugar cream on top. A couple of spoonfuls should do it if it's using just individual glasses, and don't worry, the mixture will thicken up nicely in the fridge while soaking. And then you're just going to want to repeat this process until you're container or glass, whatever it is full, or you've used up all of your biscuits and cream. You may have a bit of leftover coffee or some extra biscuits, but just do so. Then place them in the fridge to kind of firm up and soak and mingle all those flavors and texture together, and dust over a little combination of cocoa powder and cinnamon before serving, if you like. Enjoy them straight from the fridge, obviously. You'll need at least an hour kind of chilling to get that perfect kind of creamy texture, but even better if left overnight. Hope you love them every bit as much as we do.